For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
So hello, and welcome to episode 11 of That's a Shame. I am Declan.
And I'm Isaac. We're over the hill of episode 10 now. I feel like we're out of the shadow of our first milestone.
Yeah, no, it was good.
3.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is technically episode 12. So, all a lie. Pretense.
True. That's not wrong.
Facade. But, you know, it's important.
It is important. I think the shackles have come off. We've no longer got to, gaze at that episode 10 milestone, because no one gives a fuck about any milestones now until we're at 100.
No.
And that's going to be, 4-5 years?
Imagine people try and, make 25 a milestone. And it feels sad, doesn't it?
Don't bother, guys. It's like anyone celebrating their 27th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Who cares? What is even they have special things for each anniversary. And they go from really good, platinum, to really bad, ceramic.
Yeah.
Here you go, darling. It's ceramic.
I think early on,
so
it's really
plate.
It's like paper or something, really early.
Yeah, I think the first one's paper.
Well, that's not a gift.
Not a good one. No, the second year. So first year's paper. The second year is cotton. Arguably an increase there, but there's also on this website, because obviously they're all made up.
Oh yeah,
ultimately. So this one has the traditional theme is paper, but the modern theme for year one is actually, Declan, clocks.
Right. Well,
so
fuck off.
That's good.
Why? What? There's so much there.
Because I guess it's the first time you've ever had to, as a couple, remember the date that something happened. You'd just be like, God, it's been a year.
And you're getting
we wouldn't have been able to tell that without clocks.
And you're getting that date from the clock, are you?
Yeah, the old date clocks.
Right, okay.
Year two, the modern theme, the original theme, like I said, was cotton. The modern theme is China. Hard to know if that's
country or...
Yeah, country-based gift. A trip there. But yeah, episode 11, it has a certain, like I say, a freed vibe to it. I feel like we've settled into the format in the loosest possible sense.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Possibly even looser than that. And we're
I
just
feel like we
free
have
to
less
see what
structure.
happens. Yeah, but at the same time, I think we're more confident with that lack of structure.
Yeah.
Like children running around a big empty hall at a hideout birthday party after the clown's gone home.
Thank
that kind
goodness.
of vibe. Horrible paedophile clown.
That kind of sad, waiting for mum to finish talking, not enough balloons left for everyone.
Someone's hurriedly shoving bits of old cake into napkins.
There's only
as a party bag.
There's only the shit flavours of Capri Sun left.
There's the 3 bouncy balls left at the box of 50 that don't actually bounce, but just hit the ground like a marble. Tragic. But yeah, that's episode 11.
That's where we are.
It's going to be a hell of a show. We've got all kinds of things to talk about. We should mention at the start of this episode, I think, that the next 3 or possibly 4 are going to be more succinct than we're used to. Tell people why that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we're both... I was going to say verbose, but what I mean is we both quite like the sound of our own voices.
That's the one. And wouldn't you if you sounded like this?
That's
TAS at Shame.City with your complaints.
We've run over our projected episode length considerably.
And we never really talked about what that was going to be.
No, but
there's never been a strong notion.
But what we forgot was that we're somewhat constrained by how much time we have on the site that allows us to record this. And that's 10 hours a month, which leaves us with a measly 3.5 hours to do 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And if, like me, you've got an A in A-level maths, just
dropping the score there.
Just throwing that out. You'll know that that means less than an hour for each one.
Pretty much, yeah. I think you could have got that even with a B in A-level maths. You might have been able to discern that.
I don't know.
But yeah, we're going to try and keep it, because maybe get in touch with some feedback on this, because at the moment our approach to length is we kind of run the episode until we feel like we reach a conclusion.
One of us has to go and eat.
Yeah, that's a major thing. It's less, I don't know, and I think that's the right way to do it, because there's no severe content restriction. It's not like we're delivering 10 news headlines and then fucking off.
No.
So it could be 20 minutes one week, it could be 2 hours. What's the longest we've done so far?
Hour and 40.
40 around that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
36.
I think episode 4 was about an hour.
And so we're going to experiment with the form. I'm quite looking forward to a few episodes that are a bit more, I don't know, focused is the wrong word because already we've eschewed anything that could reasonably be considered focus, but snappy.
Yeah,
it's got a paciness to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see how it goes.
I think it could work. I think if we do a particularly short one, it might be nice to have a sort of brief special. I've no idea what for or about, but yeah, have a think.
Why not,
Isaac?
Let's get into it then. I think we should start the show by, you know how some people leave all their plugs to the end? Let's just get them out of the way.
Okay, yeah, that's probably
and
best.
Then also do them at the end. We want to just remind people that it's been only a matter of days now since the launch, triumphant, spectacular, quite a sight to see, of Shame.City, our internet home. And how do you feel that's gone, Declan?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's I think it's a very sexy website. It's
nice that we exist online.
Well done.
I would say so. The dog's there.
Oh,
our faces are there.
He's all over the gaff.
Incorrigible little creature he is. He really is. And with Shame.City, of course, we have a new email address, tas@shame.city, at which, email about length of shows. We'd like to hear what works well for you. How long's your commute? How long can you stand to listen? What's the shortest you'd allow? tas@shame.city for all that. Twitter as well, Declan.
Yep. So we haven't changed our Twitter. That's still the same. That's a Shamecast. And obviously Isaac at IsaacBD and myself at Cynical Declan.
Of course.
We'll be putting out at some point maybe tweets. We've sort of dropped off on that a little bit of late, where we've been quite busy with some of the bigger stuff. But we'll be back on the horse soon.
It's going to be devastatingly exciting, especially because you're coming over to Isaac's house.
I am.
That being me, for the general election.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Should we talk about that a bit?
Yeah, go on then.
This is the only episode we'll do before it happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this could be the last time we ever kind of exist in that semi-optimistic netherworld between knowledge and hope, where in how many days' time now? In 2 days' time only, we could have confirmed a slightly less horrible government than we currently have. You're a betting man.
Yeah.
Are you going to place any bets on the election?
I don't know. I might do, but not much. I mean, the last year hasn't been particularly good for political betting, as it were.
Although, in a way, that is quite good, because then you just bet the opposite of anticipated and walk away with £8 million.
Well, there we go. I assume that's why
I think I've solved
you
betting.
Presented me with that betting slip of your life savings on
that's it.
on a Labour majority.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, the Conservatives will win.
Yeah, that's my prediction as well.
But it's whether or not they have a slightly increased or a decreased majority.
What's your initial sense?
I think that they will probably have a slightly increased majority.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm betting slightly decreased, but not by much. I'm thinking I'm 2 seats.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Something really bad. I'm thinking half an armrest.
The thing is that it's one of those things where, as a Labour supporter or Labour voter, I think anything other than enormous landslide at this point is in part a victory.
Yeah, it counts for something, I suppose. Although there's the argument that, kind of whatever happens, given that Labour just aren't going to win. I hope if they do now, I'll listen back to this and be like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Past Isaac.
Absolute fools.
It could, dismantle the left wing for another 5 years or something. And it could be that the next iteration of the Labour Party that competes is kind of more centrist again.
Which, I mean, would be a shame.
Yeah, I'd be upset by it.
We could talk about it on the show at least. It'd be fitting.
True. It would give us plenty of content for another half decade. So
wow, the
strap in, guys.
Silver lining. Abject poverty,
the long haul.
but comedy gold.
If you like 5 hours of material on food banks every week, you'll love Theresa May's new government. It's going to be big.
But yeah, maybe we'll be proven wrong. Maybe. Either way, the only certainty is that there'll be a lot of drunk tweeting.
Yeah, at That's a Shamecast, as Declan said.
And that's
Hop
something
aboard.
we can all get behind.
Yeah, it also means, of course, that the next episode or two, perhaps, we'll be recording in person.
Yes.
Adds something, takes something away. What it adds is a speed, a kind of in sync quality. What it takes away is sound quality, because we're both on the same mic.
And it takes away exactly one microphone.
100% of that is gone. Not necessarily worse. The Dange episode was kind of hard to hear at points, but sorry about that, guys. We try our best consistently.
We got the bubble wrap out.
To do so.
We did everything we could.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what more do you think we can do for you? That's kind of the housekeeping stuff.
Well, the other thing is the contest as well. We should probably throw in there as well.
Good point.
Pop on to shame.city/contest. There's about 100 different ways to enter.
So many.
Probably an exaggeration, but, there are lots
Still
of ways.
several.
Just take
see
it.
what you want.
I'm just trying to get the vibe up. What do you want?
A customised, handmade T-shirt. These are limited edition. So limited that they don't actually exist currently.
No.
Nor have we even begun to think about what they'll look like.
Although...
But maybe you can have some input.
Although, here's the good news. I found that I did not throw away all that gold and glitter and those sponge brushes.
So what you're saying is they're going to be gold, glitter and sponge brush-based handmade T-shirts.
And that we've saved ourselves £1.
Yes. And if that's not fashionable in 2017, then count me out of this whole year. Fucking nonsense. So yeah, sign up on there, shame.city/contest. And that, now, I think, concludes our housekeeping.
I wouldn't do a second more.
No. Apart from at the end, where we will say all of this again, but much faster.
Yeah.
Now that we've planned out what it is. So Declan, do you have well, you were on holiday in Ireland, let's get into that. And we omitted to even touch on it more than about a second in episode 10.
Well, we had to hear about your escape room. And which was frankly...
I left something off the escape room.
Oh, go on.
I wanted to just tell you about now. It was actually the first thing I meant to say.
That's all right. You can have another episode all to yourself.
When you signed up. Episode 10.5, guys. Welcome aboard. When you first paid for it, because I didn't find this out until afterwards, because I didn't. Jacob booked it. They sent him an email that said the following. The room is capitalised here, will test your physical and mental abilities. You will need to be able to crawl on your hands and knees. Be sure to have any glasses or other aids you might need with you. I'll leave that there. If you're asthmatic, we'd advise bringing your inhaler. Then all in caps, you do not need any tools. And what I wonder about that sentence is just what kind of Black & Decker bumper kit have people been bringing to this escape room?
I imagine, like...
Don't worry, love, I've got the saw.
Someone coming on as, like, Fix-It Felix from Rocket Ralph, like, tool belt on, hard hat, just ready to...
Breaking into the Airbnb next door.
Very much eschewing the puzzle element of the escape room entirely.
The only puzzle really is which wall to start smashing down first. The last sentence has a great use of the word need. You need not be under the influence of alcohol, it says. It's like, you don't have to.
But we've put it here to imply that maybe you should.
It'll make the hour fly by if you haven't got the tools.
Well, that's
my only escape room follow-up.
That's a good segue, because alcohol is a big theme of this stint about my holiday.
Mm-hmm. That's not you stereotyping Ireland, of course.
No, what is in part, I suppose.
Oh no, it is, okay.
But one
just wanted to clarify.
One I think that seemingly most of them flock to.
Well, it's a good one to have.
Yeah, and I've got Irish blood. I'm allowed to say that. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't.
You're Irish, or you've got in a little vial that you took from holiday?
Well, I was going to say that
wanted by the police.
It sounds a bit like a mildly less offensive version of all of my friends are black. So
I've got a black friend. If you've got an Irish friend, you can, of course, stereotype an entire nation as alcoholic.
Well, I've got Irish family, so I'm, and they're all drunks.
It's fine. And then shame.city. If you want to get in touch with Declan about that, carry on.
So to save money. As ever we have, you've heard about my father and our frugal ways abroad before. We flew Ryanair, first of all, but we opted for the randomised seats. So we were spread out.
What?
Well, because...
Oh, I see.
You have to pay to pick your seat, as it were.
Right, okay.
So we'd said, no, we'll take whichever one you give us.
Do you think when that happens, in an effort to kind of push people towards not going for that, they have a program that actively separates families as far apart as
Absolutely.
possible?
They 100%
Vindictive
do that.
Ryanair.
Because you could book 4 seats together at the time, but we were all over the place.
One of you was in the luggage rack.
I was literally the back row of the plane. It was actually pretty great.
That's the party bus.
But I was sat next to what I will describe as an inordinately attractive woman.
Okay.
Who turned out to be from Indiana. And this was... She and her friend had also opted for the randomised seats. So they were...
So her friend was on another flight.
Yeah. They were on the last leg of a kind of tour around Europe. So they'd been to all of the classics: Amsterdam, Prague, Berlin, London.
What a trip.
Dublin. So they were on their way. It just sounds stupid, doesn't it? So we started talking, and we were talking a lot about drink. I don't know why. I think it just comes up naturally. Oh, no, that was why. Yeah. Because I asked her if she had any plans for while they were in Dublin, and she said, we're doing the Guinness factory at 12:30, and the Jameson's one at 3.
Ooh,
so I was
that's
like,
bold.
That's the way to see Ireland.
That's hilarious.
So we were talking about drink, and we were talking about sort of differing university experiences. Because she'd been to...
Because of the drinking age?
I don't think that had really come into play in Indiana. But
no one's checking.
No, seemingly not. Because she went to an in-state university, and which apparently makes her double the difference in price.
Wow.
$20,000 in-state or $40,000 out-of-state per year, which is just sickening.
Madness.
But it seems that the flip side of that was preposterously cheap alcohol.
Because it's subsidised by 30 grand per person.
Yeah, exactly. So
amazing offer.
So I mean, I thought that I was telling quite a cool story about our Disney nights and all of our functions that we ran in V-Bar for free booze, and then she was talking about all the various deals that some of the college bars and the city bars had. And they were, most of them were sort of recognisable things, dollar shots on Mondays and this. And then she said quarter bottle Tuesdays. And it didn't kind of register with me at the time what on earth that meant. What a quarter of a bottle of what? And when I asked, it turned out it was a quarter for a bottle.
What? 25 cents?
25 cents for a bottle of beer.
For a bottle of what?
For a bottle of beer. I said...
What a country.
I said I simply wouldn't have lived.
No, I'd be dead within one of those quarters.
The first Tuesday, that would have been it. 4 a.m, policeman knocking on mum and dad's door, hat over his heart.
Carrying a big barrel of bottles behind him, clinking quarters.
Could you imagine?
I just don't know how you have the maturity at university to approach 25-cent beer bottles with anything but the kind of attitude you'd have as like a 10-year-old walking into a sherbet factory.
Well, because someone that I have told this to since said, "Oh wow, that's amazing! Like £4 would do you for the night." And
oh no,
and I just
can't stop.
And no, this is the thing: is that, and I don't know if it's a facet of people who are quite poor, like myself, but I really cannot control my spending in that sort of way. I don't see it as I'm getting it for cheaper. I see it as I can get so much more
exactly.
for exactly the same price.
£30 for a night will go further.
Yeah, exactly. Like I used to, in first year of university, I used to do shops at Aldi for food, and I'd go with like £30. I'd literally fill up an enormous suitcase filled with, and I was catered as well, so God knows why. But it was like food, beer, snacks, all of this, and bring it back. It would be an absolute mountain of stuff. It would still only last me the week, like, which isn't the point. But
I just thought as well, 30. So if like I used to take out £30 if it was like a night out. So if you take off like Willow entry, let's call it a £5, that's 100 bottles of beer. I could have bought
Yep.
for my remaining £25. That was just madness. How quickly can we relocate the podcast to this exact university campus?
Purdue University, Indiana. I mean, almost immediately. It doesn't matter.
Just the low price.
Well, yeah.
Of 40 grand a day.
It doesn't really matter what it costs us because we recuperate our losses in
I feel
bottled
like
beer.
it's like sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
We'd invest so much money into something else that we might as well just stay there and make it back.
Yeah. So that's that sorted. The other strange thing that she mentioned, which is just an aside, what is Indiana particularly good for farming, do you think? Her family were
corn.
quote big in agriculture.
Okay.
So what do you think it's the perfect conditions for farming? I'll give you 5 guesses.
Well, my first guess was corn.
No.
My next guess is going to be courgette.
No. Closer.
Okay. Oh, really? Some kind of marrow.
No.
Close to a courgette, but not even worth mentioning the distance between it and a marrow.
Well, it was closer to courgette than corn.
Okay. And that's not that's not like a semantic thing because they both have similar letters.
No.
Corn. Okay. Cucumber. I can't imagine a cucumber living in what I imagine the climate of Indiana to be.
So, one last guess.
Okay, I'm going to go off-piste. I'm going to go clouds.
Correct. It's clouds.
Oh, I knew it.
No.
The famous close to courgette cloud.
Watermelon.
Really? In Indiana?
Yep.
That's funny because I only associate it with tropical things.
Yeah, I know. I said to her, you may as well have said bananas. Like, I can't tell you how far down my list of guesses that would have been.
I don't think I'm ever going to make eye contact with the watermelon and think the same way about it ever again. Because when I look at it, I think, God, the journey you've had coming all the way from the Caribbean and that lifestyle to sit in some sad street market in Lewisham.
Yep.
But now I don't give a fuck because it was drinking 25-cent beers. And it's laughing at me. I'm going to buy that watermelon and smash it into hell.
Absolute smithereens.
With beer bottles that I'll ironically crush into its flesh.
So we landed.
I don't really like watermelons anyway, so they can keep them.
Yeah, they can fuck off. So we landed, and the place we were staying was really nice. It was just a sort of little peninsula about half hour north of Dublin. Mm-hmm. But essentially, there is nothing to do there except drink. And so from pretty much, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the afternoon each day, that was it. Just in the pub, having a drink.
Lifestyle.
Had my first Guinness in over a year.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Absolutely phenomenal.
Because people will be quick to tell you that it would be an acquired retaste, because lots of people just don't like Guinness, but pretend to.
Those people are incorrect.
They are wrong, aren't they? 'Cause it is great.
So, but I remember, it must have been after pint 5 or 6, I think messaging, was it you or was it you and Danj, just being like,
both of us.
Being like, guys, it's so good.
Have you heard of this Guinness? It's going to really take off.
It's going to be huge.
Invest.
Yeah.
Sell.
So yeah, no, that was good. But what the holiday did bring about was my first, well, not only my first reintroduction to all day drinking, first of all.
Yes.
Which was always
which is of a very different and ineffable kind of qualitative change from night drinking. There's something very particular about the kind of drunk you get day drinking to drinking when you're out.
And it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. The first couple of days, I was absolutely fine. The third day was probably my first experience of being really properly drunk again. Mm-hmm. Or at least being conscious of it. Because I've always been a bit of a marathon drinker, in that I drink not necessarily quickly, but at one consistent pace for the entire evening. And what it means
Slow
is that
and steady wins the race.
Yeah. But what it normally means...
the race here is to the finish line of...
unconsciousness.
Of lying in your own sick in someone else's garden.
But I tend to be... like tipsy but not drunk for a long time, and then I have
you maintain a certain level.
Then I have one sip and I'm fucked.
Right.
Like, I just tips over the edge and that's
the
it.
camel's back.
And I remember this moment standing in the bar toilets, looking at myself in the mirror and trying to figure out if I was standing up straight or if I was leaning.
That's only a thought you have when pissed.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm sure, is it that my head's straight but my body's leaning, or my body's straight, my head's leaning? And I sort of like, for about 5 minutes, just doing these little tilts, like I was doing the world's slowest photo shoot for the world's drunkest man. And it was because I spoke, I think, on one of the previous podcasts about how I really enjoyed returning that first night, that kind of lightheaded buzz that you have a drink, and this was kind of just the wrong side of that fence, where lightheaded means I'm not entirely sure whether I'm falling or not.
Yeah, at any given moment.
Yeah, so
it could be 1 second before the ground slaps you in the cheek.
So it was quite interesting to have that again and to try and figure out, well, it's only fucking 5:30 p.m. what am I going to do for the next 6 hours?
Well, that's only one thing to do.
And it was commit.
Embrace. Well, I guess there are two things then. You can either commit to going hard, or you can ease off and experience the joy that is a double drink sober state in one day, which I always enjoy. Well, because you get to experience like the come down and then bringing back, like easing back into it.
I think my fear was that I would go straight to early hangover, and that's just a great way to ruin a night.
Yeah, mirrors though. I kind of expected that you were going to go somewhere with mirrors. There are two sort of hallmarks that I look for in assessing my own drunkenness, and one is that moment. This only works in certain scenarios, but if you're in a pub usually and have been drinking, the first time you stand up for a while, there's that like 5 seconds of kind of assessing. It's like you have to externalize your own body and kind of stand back from yourself and just run a little checklist of, okay, focusing not as quickly as I'd love you to there, eyes. Little stumble on the left foot.
Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful.
I mean, look, you've showed up. That's more than we can say for the knees. Those guys buckled on the first sign of vodka shots. So there's that moment, which is always enjoyable. And then, like you say, mirrors. There's something, you can see it in other people as well, like in the bathroom.
Yeah.
People, when they're washing their hands, they'll look up and have this really weird, long, intense eye contact with themselves. And I wonder if that's a kind of universal human thing. Like, you know, the mirror test where you kind of establish some base level of intelligence of animals.
Yeah.
If they can discern that a mirror is themselves reflected rather than another creature.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. All right. I'm not a biologist.
Whatever.
And I wonder if there is something about a level of drunkenness you can reach at which we kind of begin to slip under the bar of that basic animal intelligence, start to see it as some kind of intimidating, slightly sneering other
doppelganger
that is out to get us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it must be because, I mean, we both have that experience, and we've all seen people in the toilets of pubs and clubs and whatnot, standing there holding on.
It's like an iconic moment in film and stuff.
Holding on to the sink for dear life, splashing a bit of water on the face as if that is a cute some sort of panacea. That just
as if it doesn't just make you look like you're now drunk and crying, sweating profusely from the face pores.
But it was also quite a nice experience of drunkenness, most of it. As a holiday. One of my favourite things is kind of drunken games. Like when you get back from somewhere, everyone's a bit tipsy. Some people are kind of on the come down. Some people are still drinking.
They're the best.
And I'd brought along for this specific purpose one of my favourite games to play with people, especially if they've been drinking. called the
Risk.
Chess.
Come on, guys.
Line up.
Start conquering Latvia. Everyone got 8 hours free. Sick.
It's just Ludo. All the fun is
One
in
domino.
being drunk. But it's called the Name Game. I can't remember if I played it with you. I've certainly played it with Toby, which is listeners don't really know Toby, but they will.
They will. You'll come to know Toby. And he'll come to know you.
It's incredible to play with him because he gets so angry both with you and himself simultaneously. But the basic premise is that you have a box of cards, and on the card is written the name of a celebrity, and beneath that a series of words that you're not allowed to use to describe them. And your job is to describe this celebrity to everybody else. So
it's like Articulate,
yeah,
but only for people.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Before this holiday, my favourite experience of playing this game was playing it with my girlfriend and her parents. And her dad once spent his entire 2-minute turn failing to describe one card. And he was sort of like staring. He was face screwed up trying to remember details, which is essentially the de rigueur pose for anyone playing this game. And he's like, he's in films. He's dark hair, quite long dark hair. Oh God, what is there? Oh, and that was it for 2 minutes. And he went, no, can't do it. And he threw the card down. I picked it up. It was Danny DeVito.
Oh, wrong. And what a distinguishable person as well. There are so many specific to Danny features. You could have
he was like, it said you couldn't say short. I was like, but there are other synonyms. There's so many.
1 inch off a dwarf.
Yeah. I was like, when did he have long hair? He said when he played the Penguin. I was like, well, that's not him.
Always wears a dinner jacket. Friends with Batman.
Pointy nose. Waddling all over the fucking gaff.
Oh dear.
But this particular round brought up some more highlights. Mm-hmm. My two favourites. I'll mention the political one first, given that we're coming up to election time.
Yes, topical.
One of my dad's cousins, because we were there with two of my dad's cousins, and one of them, he's a staunch Labour man. He's sort of like ex-lecturer in sociology, I think he is, at the University of Leeds or something. He's got this wonderful kind of baritone voice that only gets sexier as he gets drunker. And he picked up his card and he was sort of staring at it for a while. And he said, okay, lawyer, she was married to a leader of a country, a politician. And my mum went, Sherry Blair. And there was a silence for about 5 seconds as he just stared at her over his glasses and then just went, you watch your mouth.
Wow.
It was so perfect. I was like, I just sort of piped in going, is it Michelle Obama? Yes. Like, poor mum. It was such a good guess. But don't you dare
mention the Blairs to a Labour man.
But my dad's other cousin, Shay, had what has become my new favourite moment of the game, where he picked up his card and he did, I think it's something that is unique to people once they get past 50 playing any kind of game like this, which is that they forget that there's a time limit, that they forget that the whole, like, even if you're shouting nonsense, like, the more information you give, the easier it is.
Thing, is it?
Silence for 20 seconds. Silence for 20 seconds looking at this card. And then he just threw it down and went, "No, I don't know them. I don't know them." And then he sort of moved on to his next card, and he was reading it for about 5 seconds. And then he looked up and he went, "Well, no, I mean, I do know them. I just don't like them."
That's not the same.
Well,
Just refused to engage with them.
You could still.
He didn't want to spread their name any further than it already had been spread.
Well, you could still do. No, I'll move on.
Nah,
Just
I'm not going to be
moved on.
doing that.
And it was.
Who was it? Did you
can't remember.
Danny DeVito.
It was someone so inoffensive. Like, I think it was like Will Ferrell or
Pat
something.
Butcher.
Like, well, why?
Oh.
Why have you suddenly got a vendetta against him? But it's always it's always fun. I might bring it down.
It's a good game.
We can do.
Why not?
We could do a little feature.
Oh,
Imagine
an on-air one.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would be a shame, as we like
Yeah,
to say.
exactly.
We should talk a bit, because it's kind of organically emerged, about a classic, I'd say the classic drinking game that we barreled into many a setting in our time together, which is, of course, Paranoia. Tell people about that.
A fantastic game. If you love infighting...
Your friends, it's the wrong game.
If you, however, love infighting,
Yep.
cattiness...
Jealousy, awkward silences, and that look where people... It's a really specific and hard to emulate, because I was just watching a show where someone had to act
certainly over the air.
Yeah, no, but everyone, I think, will be able to picture it. There's a kind of... there's a level at which you can insult someone, and it's quite a profound insult. It's something that will stick with them, and you can see that in their face. But at the same time, it's not necessarily enough. And in the case of Paranoia, the situation has been built around enabling that level of attack. And there's a kind of smile.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a smile.
It borders on the grimace, and the cheeks go red, and it's like there is no etiquette as to how to respond to Paranoia. And that is why I love it.
No, because
more than all other games.
The entire premise is that you've agreed to subject yourself to this. So you've
more or less agreed.
Yeah.
Sometimes agreement here is just not leaving the table.
Sometimes it's just being within 50 yards of us at any given bar.
Yeah, exactly, like being brought along by a friend who knows everyone else there.
Because we've implemented this game a fair few times. We've also had people, very boring people, admittedly,
dreadful idiots,
ruin it for us, saying
flat out refused. It got shut down, didn't it, in one of our attempts,
saying
by
they don't
an
want
authority figure.
They don't want to
the government
offend anyone. Yeah, Theresa May came along.
I got a cease and desist from Mrs. May's office within 1 second.
Amber
so
Rudd.
Let's explain. Yeah, she's not having any of it. She shut it down like that speech about Saudi Arabia. Let's topical bit of reference there, lads. Let's explain the premise.
So
the name is so perfect because it really it both captures and also understates the essential feeling that the game will evoke.
Yeah. So
and it's based around the premise that you want to know who is bitching about you. It's based around the fact that you can't deny yourself the opportunity to find out what other people think of you.
So the basic
to your
function,
own, even if it's to your own discredit.
The basic function of the game is that imagine you're sat in a circle of people.
Or a square, we're inclusive.
Any geometric two-dimensional shape
you could care to think of.
So one person begins as the instigator of the game, let's say.
Yeah, there's no name for it because it's a kind of game that has not bothered with any of that bullshit.
Very freeform.
Yeah.
Much like this podcast. Oh. So this said instigator turns to someone in the group, probably the person next to them, and whispers to them a question. Now, the question comes in the form of who something, who is, etc. Not a factual question, an opinion-based question.
Uh-huh.
And whilst they whisper the question to the person, they must answer with the name of somebody in the circle or square, but they must answer aloud.
Mm-hmm. Or I prefer, personally, the pointing, because it has that kind of...
That's silent.
There's something accusatory. It's like the Salem witch trials that it gets across.
Yeah.
This, it is them.
So, the person who asked the question then sets a certain amount of drink. If the person who has been accused wishes to find out what the question was, wishes to find out what exactly they've been singled out as the prime embodiment of, they must drink that amount. Yep. If they refuse and they do not have to find out, they don't have to drink, they can turn it down, somebody else in the circle may have it revealed by drinking twice that amount.
A classic rule. That's the kind of addendum that you only get through years of someone playing that game and then coming up with a genius stroke.
And it's the perfect rule because someone is always willing. Normally me.
Normally us.
Yeah. Because I want everyone to come away from this game as hurt as possible.
I want everyone to be on the same page, and that page is damage.
Because the best thing about the way that we always pitch this game is that you can describe it in a really upbeat kind of jolly way, like, oh, it's quite funny, and then people like, oh, who would you like to kiss in the group? It's like, oh yeah, it's really funny. And so you set it up as that, and everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then you go,
but what they haven't realised is that they've already signed their death sentence because the scope of the game is something that they have not fully considered.
So everyone's sat there really happily ready to play, and I'll go, my favourite first question is I'll go, oh yeah, I'll ask the first question. And you go to the happiest person in the group, normally the nicest person in the group.
Yeah.
And you whisper to them, who's the last person in the circle you would invite to your birthday party? And suddenly you watch the face drop and they go, oh no, I can't answer that.
Yeah,
well,
but there's a stage of realisation in that question because on the face of it, and sometimes in fact can be fairly innocuous. If you're at like a table with a group of friends and then some like tag along people, like someone's brought their partner who you haven't met before, then that's an obvious out. So that can be fine. There can also be like, if it's different friendship groups mixing, then like I know these people better and I'd have like a small party. But if it's a group of people who all know each other equally well, then whilst on the face of it, any question that has the term birthday party can't be that damning. There is the essential underlying question is just who is the least fun person to be with.
Who do you like the least? Yeah. And
my favourite is who matters the least. Yeah. Because it's just the bleakest. There's no coming back from being told you matter the least.
Or the other classic is whose parents love them the least. Because it's
that was me last time.
Because it's not you aren't making an accusation directly. You're not saying you like them the least, but it says something very particular about your person that you that people think
you would assume.
Because the worst thing as well about the game, if you're a weakling, as I'm going to call it, is that
a coward.
Is that every now and then, once the question is revealed, people go, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that actually, mate. Yeah, you do matter the least.
I would have said you, and all of a sudden it goes from one person's, been put on the spot to single you out, and then everyone else, pressure free, has just piled on.
Yeah, and there's another great thing about it is there's no predicting how people will respond either to their role as question asker or as the subject or as just a hanger-on.
Yeah.
Because some people who you would not expect to be quite as brutal as they turn out to be can be a revelation. And some people, in fact, most people in that kind of, this is why Nazism was allowed to take over Germany, piling on of horrible behaviour just because someone has enabled it. They're the real problem.
But people have used this to call us cruel, and I don't think that's the case. It's just
because the game is what you make of it.
It's a far more exciting, experience than has anyone got a pack of cards? Let's play Ring of Fire. There's nothing at stake there. No one gives a shit.
No, a dirty cup. Oh, it's probably 2 different beers mixed together with a drop of vodka.
2 different beers,
wow.
and a bit of Jägermeister. Boo,
a bit of dusty skin. Horrid. It is you don't need any equipment.
Nope.
You don't need any people that you want to be around afterwards. And in fact, you can ensure that you're never going to see them again.
It's a great way to break up with someone if you're that desperate.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, another favourite question is always who's the second prettiest person at the table?
That is devastating, yeah. It's devastating and intriguing, though, because it asks just as many questions as it answers.
Exactly.
literally. And it can lead to some unsettling, depending on who's at the table and your relationship to them. The intimacy there can make for some questionable outcomes.
Exactly.
I've also seen it, and this is to kind of swing it onto the other side, because yes, it can be used as a weapon, this game, against the weak-willed tragedies, shames of this world, to just kind of reveal that to them in a legitimized form. But also, I've seen people like become much better friends for it. There are elements of like truth and honesty that aren't necessarily bad. So if it's not like as devastating as you don't matter at all, but it's something like, halfway there, then you can start a conversation about it. Oh, why would you think that? Well, actually, my parents do love me. Okay, guys. And there can be ones where like people have revealed unusual like crushes on people that I don't know if they've gone anywhere. Let's say that they have. We've started marriages out of paranoia, is what I'm saying. The scope is so broad that the game is really what you make of it. And if you want to have this kind of lovey-dovey, upbeat version, then that's your mistake.
Yeah.
But you're right. Your prerogative.
Oh, that was a good little lie there to make it sound like a nicer game.
But fundamentally, you don't matter. It's key to remember. But no, I would say the ideal setup is to open with some lightweight questions and ease them in. Just come out of left field with something so cruel that no one saw it coming.
Get them hooked.
And then scarper,
like a sort of,
to get like a round in, and then come back.
Like a drug dealer. Give them the good stuff to get them hooked.
A taste. Give them a taste, you'd say.
And then that's it.
And then cut the whole game with some kind of low-grade polystyrene dust. And you're in the money, guys. We should do some kind of paranoia. If we ever did like a live recording of these, we should do... we always do a live recording. But my point is, if we ever did it to like with more people around, that would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something, a very small thing. I've neglected to segue. That's the end of Paranoia.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about that.
I wanted to talk about something that occurred to me this week. And it's a very peculiar state of being, which is there are some situations where you'll be angry no matter what.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if this is...
Paranoia.
I wanted to know if this is a universal thing or whether I maybe need to just seek help or something. But I think that you'll know what I mean. I first came across it a couple of weeks ago when I went to go and see a play at the Royal Court, and it's in like Kensington. It's really, very upmarket area.
Salubrious.
Yeah, exactly. And I was wandering around afterwards and I was quite hungry. And I came to this particular realization, which is that I hate the commodification of high streets. Right? I hate how it doesn't matter where you are in the country, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that they've all got the same shops, they're all laid out the same, that everywhere's kind of lost its local charm in that way. I don't like that. I think it's a bad thing. However, if I'm in a city and I am more than 300 steps from a McDonald's, I'm fucking furious. And I was walking around Kensington. I was like, there's nothing here. I can't afford any of this.
Boutique what?
Yeah. Where's my...
A McHale burger?
Where's my fucking $1.99 double cheeseburger?
$1.49 double cheeseburger.
Oh, is it only $1.49?
I think so, unless I've been drastically lied to.
Underpaying.
Sponsor there at That's a Shamecast, McDonald's, if you'd like to supply.
But yeah, like, so
any vouchers.
In that instance, like, I'm annoyed either way. I'd either be like, cool, this is typical. Everywhere you go, everywhere in London looks exactly the same. But at the same time, I kind of want that convenience of knowing it's there. The other one...
I think the solution is just having two streets. One of them, like in every... I like the American approach where they kind of accept, in a postmodernist way, the fundamental similarities between the feel of a small town and the feel of another small town in that kind of David Lynch way.
Yeah.
Just call it Main Street. Like, what a great idea that is. Main Street or High Street.
Yep.
And just on that, you want McDonald's, about 85 different Pretz, because that seems to be London's thing.
Yep.
And eat. Probably you'd have to chuck in like something reprehensible like Lush, because that seems to be all over the place, giving people headaches with their noxious soap fumes. And then on the other street, we'll call it like... No, that street would have a customised name depending on the town. It would be like Kensington Boulevard or something fancy. Yeah. On that one, you have your little boutique shops, your cafes with like £3.50 espresso. And like a rye bread sourdough travesty.
Right, get on to change.org.
Yep.
Fuck the bees. Let's go.
Hashtag fuck the bees. You heard it here first.
The other example of this that I had, that is one that you'll probably be less familiar with, but you might empathise, is one that I have whilst driving.
Okay.
Which is, if you're driving along and you stop to let someone out, let someone out of a junction, out of their driveway, out of a car park, do your good deed for the month, whatever. Once you're following them, they cannot win, because either they drive past lots of other people who are looking to kind of come out of turnings and driveways and car parks, and they're driving past them, and I sit there going, "You selfish,
not paying it forward.
You selfish bastard! I've let you out. If it wasn't for this sort of kindness, that you'd still be stuck back in Morrison's." But by the same token, if they stop to let a single fucker out, I'm like, all right, knight of the road. Who fucking
Mother Teresa in this Audi.
Some of us have got fucking places to be. So they can't win.
Fair.
And
I do sort of experience that, because although I can't drive myself, whenever I'm in the front seat, I feel like a very active passenger. Because, my navigation skills are second to none. I'm on the music, I'm on the morale, and I'm quick with a hand gesture out the front window.
You're also just
the windscreen.
A very morals-driven person, aren't you?
Oh, of course, famously. You'll have heard that in the Paranoia segment before. Who's the most moral? Well, why even ask? Which one of us is wearing a halo?
Everyone's eyes turn to
Jesus. Which one of us
Apostle
got compared by Bob
Isaac.
Jackson? Yeah, I can get on board with that. I also don't like it. They're invariably the wrong speed, aren't they? It might be someone who's like bombing down. You're like, oh god, gonna get in an accident in front of this person behind them. Or they're just going at like grandma speed, which is a universal constant of 12 miles per hour.
In case you're
waving at all the different blades of grass that they drive past. Oh, there's one deer. That one looks like my first husband's forehead. Horrible grandmas. Not my grandma. She's great. Both of them, in fact.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Well, I've only met
French
one,
grandma got in touch to check that that specifically me and anyone I'd spoken to in the last week, if my French translation was up to scratch, hadn't been affected by the London terrorism of late.
Anyone you spoke to a fortnight ago, fuck them.
Fuck those guys. Hope they're dead. I'm sorry if anyone you know was affected by that. TAS@shame.city. It was a tragedy, but London will persevere. Look, Declan, we're coming up to 54 minutes, and I think it would be remiss of us to leave our listenership without a story that I know has hooked the nation.
Oh, wow, lovely feature.
Something we haven't touched on in a little while. I think we can bring it up to the hour mark with a combination of Hooked, catching up with Tiffany and Mum.
Yep.
And plugs at the end.
Yep.
So if you've got the app ready to go.
Yeah, I have. Whereabouts were we? There was... it's hard to know at this point.
It is difficult to know, because fundamentally, as you'll remember, there is no narrative arc or indeed plot
and
tension.
When things are dropped, they're not actually dropped. It's just that our protagonists aren't focusing on them anymore. Because I thought,
just sort of forgot.
I thought the baby element was done with, but very recently, Tiffany.
You're not going to mention a random baby twice.
Tiffany has.
What are you saying? Tiffany's a hack.
She has now re-mentioned the random baby in the basement. But there's a psycho woman at the door.
Yep, she's covered in blood.
Mum's doing her usual, don't worry about it.
Mum is still an indeterminate distance away from the house. When she comes in, it's going to be like when Gandalf arrives on that hill with a whole army of people just to barrel into the story and really save the battle for Helm's Deep.
Should we go from Mother calling the police?
I've called the police, is that
That's
the line?
That's the line.
Okay, so I think we've got a little bit
eternal,
of a here, but
the
here it
eternal
comes. This is Hooked. This is episode 11. Get on board with this. I've called the police. I know that's more excited than Mum normally sounds. Make sure all the doors are locked.
OMG. I think she's trying to break into the house. Is she on drugs or something? Her hair is all white and she's covered in blood.
I'm about 15 minutes away. Mum there with a bit of admin.
Mum there with a real non sequitur.
Mum just having her own chat.
Is she on drugs? I'm 15 minutes away.
I think what the problem is Mum's got iMessage turned off and she's not getting any of these. So she's she's getting every few when the Wi-Fi disconnects.
She's already used up all those.
Mum's only got 3 texts left. I'm about 15 minutes away.
Where is Dad? He's supposed to be here by now. And why aren't you answering your phone?
I'm in a cab and I can't talk.
Why?
That's a new element there.
Yeah.
Why did Tiffany think Mum was going to arrive in a white car if she's in a cab?
I don't know.
Maybe the car is the real villain.
Ooh.
Something to think about. It's going to be okay, Tiffany. Calm down. Calm down, love.
Oh.
It's only a random baby and a drug at the door. I've just seen the next line. Wow. Okay, get ready for this, listeners. I'll reset it up. It's going to be okay, Tiffany. Calm down.
Oh, God, she has a rock.
A rock.
She's
a classic
of indeterminate size.
She has Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
She's going to break a window.
Mum boldly proclaims here, like some kind of third act army general, announcing it to the alien nation that's set to involve, the windows will hold. It would take a lot of force to break them.
Such a boring line.
It would take a lot of force to break them,
This
Thomas.
is insane. I wish the police would come.
Oh, Mum's become creepy
Very.
now. Mummy's coming home soon. She'll take care of it, Mum says in the third person.
Wait.
That could be plot, or it could not be.
She stopped. I don't hear anything. Maybe she's leaving.
Keep the doors locked.
I just looked out the front window. I don't see her, but her car is still here. How did you know who it was? Who is she, Mum?
Someone your father knows. I knew nothing of her until recently. Until she had this rock. I hadn't heard head nor tail of the bitch until she rocked up in that little white car.
Until he told me what car she drives. I don't understand. What aren't you telling me?
What a reply from Mum here. Today was a very bad day.
I think we should leave it there.
Yeah, today was a very bad day. This has been
I can't wait to
episode
find
11.
out quite how.
You are hooked, aren't you? We scoffed at the beginning at the very prospect of being hooked. But it is almost impossible not to be hooked with lines like, they'll break. No, the windows will hold. They'll take a lot of force. This has been episode 11 of That's a Shame. You can find out all our stuff, episode archives and that. You can listen online at shame.city. We've got a contest going at shame.city/contest. Win yourself T-shirts, Drown Your Sorrows tokens, Overwatch, that disparate array of nonsense that you might be able to tell we came up with in 1.5 seconds.
On the email front, a very quick story that having come back from Ireland, we discovered that the home computer's email wasn't working. My dad wasn't getting any, couldn't send or receive. Computer was absolutely fine otherwise, but just wouldn't do anything. So we took it down this week to the absolute computer god in the village, and he looked at it for a day and rang us up.
For a day? Yeah. You make it sound like he just meditates with it in his sight line.
Well, he had it for a day before ringing us the day after and saying that it's a very simple problem, which is simply that Wanadu, where the email address was, doesn't exist anymore. They literally fell out.
You can tell from the name that they were never going to last.
Literally fell out of existence
the 21st century.
On the 1st of June.
Wow. Bless their cotton hearts. Unlike, of course, tas@shame.city, where you can email us questions. We've had a lovely email in this week that we'll be addressing in the next episode. Questions, feedback, how long should the show be? What's Paranoia like for you? Can you think of a good question? How's your day going? That sort of stuff. We're on Twitter at That's a Shamecast. Declan, you're on Twitter as what?
At Cynical Declan.
I'm at Isaac BD. This has been episode 11 of That's a Shame. We'll catch you on the flip side, guys. Have a lovely week.
Yeah.
for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you.